Hey guys, today I'm going to be taking a stamp and kind of altering it to make it more of my own. So I'm working in this mini journal here that I made a couple months back for the Our Mixed Media Moods challenge. It's like cardboard, and the pages in it are cut down pages from the Dina Wakley media journal pages. So this one is cotton rag watercolor paper, and I'm going to add a little strip of vintage textbook to the page there on the left, and then I'm going to take a little buff acrylic paint and add a little bit of that in, and then I'm going to make some marks with these Derwent. Are they Derwent? The Inktense blocks? Yeah, they are Derwent Inktense blocks. And it's just like a water-soluble, like, crayon block thing. I just did some, like, lines, tick marks, a little house there. And then I'm going to add some white gesso to activate the color and also, like, cover up a lot of that. And they're water-soluble, so the gesso, like, it changes the color of the gesso. And I know that I completely covered them up, but really it's like, you know, sometimes you got to get in the groove of things, get things going. So I was really just, the purpose of that, even though I was going to cover it up, was just to like get things flowing and moving and get my hand moving. So yeah, so then after my gesso is mostly dry, I'm going to take some fine charcoal and just make some more marks. I'm going to add some tick marks and some little stars there. And some of the gesso is wet. Some of it is dry. So some of the charcoal gets carved into the wet gesso. Some of it just like puts the mark down on top. And I'm going to make sure that's dry then. And then I'm going to add some more of that Dina Wakley Media acrylic in buff. And also blend that in with my white gesso. The gesso kind of turned like this really cool gray color in some spots, which I think looks really cool against the white and the buff color. And then once that's, no, not once that's dry. So while that's still wet, I'm going to take this pokey tool. It's a tool to get intricate die cuts out of dies. And I'm just going to take it and scratch some little house shapes into my wet paint. And then I'm going to make sure that's dry, and I'm going to take one of the faces from the Sketched Faces stamp set, and I'm going to make sure my book is as flat as possible. And I'm going to stamp that stamp with some tea dye distress ink. I just want a color that's dark enough so I can see the lines of the stamp, but not so dark that it's going to like mess up what I'm trying to do and in making the stamp look different than it's intended to look. And I mean, it's not really different, but so I'm starting out with a Derwent graphite pencil. It's not water soluble, it's just a regular old graphite pencil. And I'm going to draw in some lines. Some of them I'm following from the stamp, but some of them I'm adding my own. Like, I was trying to make him look like he was like a little worried. So instead of following the line of the eyebrows, I kind of made the eyebrows like go up a little, like he had like a worried look on his face. And I tried to make his eyes look a little bit different. So then I'm going to take some, this is a charcoal pencil, and it's in soft, so it lays down a lot of the charcoal, and then I can kind of smooth it out or blend it out with my finger. And then I'm going to use some more of that vine charcoal to go around the edges, and I'm going to use my finger to blend some of that charcoal out. And I'm just keeping it real loose, real sketchy. When I do something like this, I have to look at like a reference photo. I'm just not at the point where I could draw a face from scratch or, you know, anything like that. And that's okay. You know, a lot of really good artists use reference photos. So I have a Pinterest board that I have all kinds of like people's faces, different looks on them, and I was just looking at a picture of a guy that had a worried look on his face. So I'm gonna activate some of that charcoal with a wet paintbrush, and then it got like really dark, so I made sure to blot some of that up with my paper towel, and then some of the lines got kind of lost, so I sketched those back in, and then his nose got kind of funky. It's kind of like one of those back and forth dance type things. Adding the pencil, activating the color, taking color away until I'm happy with the way it looks. And then I'm going to take a like tannish colored, this is one of those Inktense blocks, and I'm going to add some shadows in around the sides of his face and underneath his neck, and sketchy lines along his shirt. And then I'm going to bring my Stabilo Markzal pencil in, which makes a really dark line, a lot darker than the charcoal once it's activated. And then I'm going to activate those two things with some with a wet paintbrush. I love these Dina Wakley faces for doing this technique of trying to make the stamps look different, because I mean, I'm not good at drawing the faces, so to have like the template there and then be able to just kind of make it your own and do different things, I mean, the possibilities are endless, and I'm having a lot of fun just trying out different looks and things like that. And I know one day I'll have enough practice and skill to draw my own face from scratch, but until then I'm really enjoying using the Dina Wakley ones because I really love that sketchy look. And it's also really forgiving. So I'm going to add in some more of that Stabilo, and my face is kind of still like a little wet there, so the line gets much darker. And I'm going to draw in some like forehead wrinkle lines, and then I'm going to attempt to work out his little mouth area. I am so bad at mouths. I don't know what it is. Even like looking at it, I had a hard time drawing his mouth back in. And you could do this technique with all kinds of stamps, like animal stamps or flower stamps. You know, just a stamp to give you the idea of what it is, and then just kind of make it your own and change it up. It's super fun to like go through and look at your stamps in a different way, like kind of different ways you can use them. Because I don't know about you guys, but I try to be super thrifty with my supplies because they're expensive. So any way I can kind of like get more mileage out of my stuff, I'll do it. I know I'm not alone in that. So I'm just going back and forth until I'm happy, just back and forth, adding color, adding water, blotting some of that color up. And this took me quite some time, about an hour probably total. And then I wanted to add some highlights, so I took out my white charcoal pencil, and that didn't work at all. And then I took out a white oil pastel, and I don't know, this oil pastel it was my mother's from who knows when, so I don't know if it doesn't work anymore or if it just didn't work on the surface. But then I took out a Dina Wakley scribble stick in white. I dipped my pencil in water, and that seemed to work when I tried to put the highlights on my little guy there. And then I'm taking that graphite pencil again and drawing some more sketchy lines in, like around his head, around his shirt. I'm gonna draw little houses in there. I'm drawing little stars in. Someone told me once that if you doodle stars, that means you're worrying about the future. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's just what someone told me. And then I'm gonna write out I worry about you at the bottom there, because you know he's got a little worried look on his face. And then I'm gonna do a little journaling underneath that with my graphite pencil. And then that's going to be about it for this page. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. I don't know what happened to the photos for this. I posted this picture already on Instagram and stuff, so I know I have photos. I just don't know